Hi, this is Mani from bsc2nse.com. I normally make videos on stock market mostly, but this video I'm gonna go into the family budgeting issues and possible solutions, kind of which worked out for me and where I was also struggling at a point in my life. So I believe this is also helpful for investors as well as non-investors and 95% of the people who I'm sure are working on a job to meet the ends and try and invest for their future as well. So let's get to the point that most of us, we budget, we will probably even write down our expenses and income in a diary and try to match it and ensure that we're not gonna miss out on any of the expenses or cross the budget, but you will still end up crossing the budget from time to time, at least 4 or 5 times in a year. So we are going to discuss why. First, you have to understand the problem as to list various common reasons why you would exceed your budget. Okay, and these collated points will give you the overall picture of why you have the expenses always exceeding your budget. Okay. So the income, the first point is that the income is mostly fixed, meaning the pay for most of the employees except people at the top level like CEOs. Most of the employees will have a fixed pay only, so there's no variable pay wherein the salary can go up suddenly in a month and those kind of things. So mostly it's fixed. And the second point is that we will most likely have zero positive surprises in our life, where additional income will pour out of the sky suddenly and keep surprising us. Very few instances are income tax returns, some kind of bonus being given by your company, or you happen to get hit a lottery sort of a thing. So you know how rarely you can hit a lottery or a positive surprise kind of income like that. So there's mostly no zero positive surprises for most of the people, or 99% of the people. Okay. So you're not gonna the income that you get is fixed, and there's going to be no positive surprises. Moving on to number 3, there'll be too many negative surprises in our life because that's how life is for the rich as well as the poor. Okay. So suddenly we want to plan a vacation because we have guests or close guests coming in, or you need to suddenly travel somewhere, car repair which you cannot foresee, tires need to be changed which you cannot foresee when, hospital expenses, friends and relatives marriage. You cannot control when your friend gets married or when a relative gets married, and you want to travel to make it to the marriage, buy them some gifts, all these reasons. And there are too many negative surprises, right, which you cannot budget, which you cannot foresee what will happen over the next 30 days. So these are all negative surprises which will come and hit and blow up your budget. So most likely our budget will be like, you write down for 100 rupees income, you will write down close to at least 95 to 100 rupees of expenses down. And most of us get into a home loan and it becomes tightly packed, right? So moving on to number 4, again, if you drill deep down into your budget, once a year expenses are mostly not tracked. Like car insurance, you'll need to pay once a year. School fees, you may need to pay once every 3 months or 6 months. Festival expenses, I didn't know that Diwali was going to come so soon after the Puja holidays this time. So you will never be able to foresee it so well because you're busy working on your job. Gym fees or all these kind of things are once in a year expenses. We keep forgetting that, but almost every month there seems to be that expense, once in a year expense that keeps coming down. Number 5, we write down budget only for the basic necessity like house rent, grocery, EB bill, petrol. These are all things we cannot live without in life today. Mobile bills, internet bills. So these are basic necessity which you have to pay. You cannot default on that. It's okay to default, but most of us, we don't want to default. So these we write down only these expenses mostly in the budget. So which you will never have a positive surprise from any of these kind of expenses. Number 6, we tend not to include luxury needs into the budget, like clothing, or you suddenly want to go to a party and you want to buy a really expensive dress, makeup. I mean, that luxury is something that will change from person to person. So you may not exactly put luxury expenses into your budget, because you'll tend to initially think that I'll avoid this, but then later you'll be pushed into buying it. So again, which pushes you into using your credit card. So most likely people make big expenses in credit card when they're forced or tempted into a luxury expense. Number 7, peer pressure spending and cases where you cannot say no to the family. Right. So again, marriage is happening within the family, or when your dad or mom asks something, you cannot say no, and you end up spending. So these are again things that you cannot foresee what can happen over the next 30 days. You will not be able to write it down on a diary. You don't know when your family or somebody is going to ask you out for a vacation where you will also need to spend, right? So these are just the main 7 points which came on top of my mind. There could be few others also, but I would say these are the prime reasons. So go through these points again, okay, and ask yourself how you're writing the budget. See if my points are valid, right? Now it's easy to point out what's causing the issue, right? So it's not so easy to find a solution. So I've been trying to fix it on my monthly budget for a long time, and eventually we got into the solution. So I'll move on to the solution part. The solution part is to have a buffer or miscellaneous component into your budget, okay? So you can forget you need not foresee all these unforeseen expenses, but typically how much of unforeseen expenses can come. So in my experience, in my life at least, I would say out of 100 rupee income, 20 rupees, an additional 20 rupees can come anytime as a negative surprise. So to counter that, all you need to do is try and include a buffer or miscellaneous component into your budget. So if your family earning is 1 lakh rupees, 20,000 needs to be allocated as miscellaneous or buffer. And this amount, when there is a negative surprise coming suddenly out of the blue, then you look at the miscellaneous component. Okay, I have got 20,000 this month, so okay, this will get adjusted there. So as long as that happens, then you can go for it, right? So the good part is having this 20% cushion will absorb all the negative surprise expenses. And I know you cannot do it overnight, right? So far you've not had this component in your budget. Overnight you cannot suddenly add extra 20k into something, right? So start by allocating 5% as buffer or miscellaneous expenses, and slowly try and push. Let's say your total family income is 1 lakh. Start by allocating 5,000 as miscellaneous, and try and push it to 6,000, 7,000, 10,000, 15,000, like that, and slowly push it to 20,000. It can take a year or more, but once you allocate a 20% miscellaneous component, you bring it into your treat it as a expense that's definitely going to come, right? So, and then if a negative surprise doesn't come, this becomes a savings, right? So at the end of the month, you can push this amount into emergency funding, right? You don't spend it off. So once you are able to save, the first job is to build a buffer component or a miscellaneous component in your budget, right? So, and then you will find that there are, out of 12 months in a year, you will find that end of the month, like people commonly make jokes about, you get salary on 1st, and then all your salary goes out by 5th, and then you become broke till 30th of every month. So once you include this component, you will find that even on 30th, your account will have probably an extra 10k lying around. That is there because you allocated 20k to buffer, and negative surprises took only 10,000 rupees out of that. So additional 10k stays there in your account. So you are creating a positive surprise in your bank account as you're even moving towards the last day of the month, day before your next salary, next paycheck. So once you have this saving, you can either invest for long-term wealth building, or I would say build your emergency cash. So that's my next solution. The solution has two parts. One is building buffer or miscellaneous component. The next one is building emergency cash, which again most of us will not be planning also, and most of us will just run our life and probably retire without this emergency cash. Build 5 months of salary as emergency cash. It can take time. Like I said, this could take even 3 to 5 years for you to do it, but then once you do it, you'll feel more powerful. I'll tell you why. So if your monthly family income is 1 lakh rupees, so you need to have 5 lakh rupees as emergency cash, okay? And you will need to use this very rarely, right? Unlike the buffer or miscellaneous component, you will not be using this too often. If possible, you don't use it at all, right? So if used, refill this back as soon as you can, right? And try telling yourself that you will do it only max twice a year. This can be used in case of a loss of job. Somebody fires you, you're out of job, and we normally worry if this emergency cash is not there. You don't have any liquid money, you only have some property or illiquid assets. So you normally tend to worry when you're in a job, like if they fire me today, how will I run my budget next month, right? That's the main problem. And then you rush into a next job, even if it's a low pay job, right? So that's a really bad way of you put yourself in a bad situation. So try and build this emergency cash. If you have 5 months of salary, you know for sure that you can run your expenses for the next 5 months. So if somebody fires you, you can even go on a 1 month vacation, come back, and during the vacation you just apply for all the jobs, wait for an interview to come to you. It will eventually come, and you will be eventually able to find a job. So in the back of the mind, you keep telling this, that even if the company fires me, I've got 5 months time, and I can go on a vacation, relax, and then go to the next job. So this is something you really need, because this takes out the stress in your life. And once you are calm and composed, then you'll be able to do all the right things with respect to investing in stock market also, right? And apart from that, if you feel very secure in the job, you can use it for vacations and unavoidable emergencies. And if you use it like that, then again you refill it back over the next few months. And maintain emergency cash in a separate bank account. Throw away the debit card so that you're not tempted to spend it. And keep only online banking active, so that if you need on an emergency, you can transfer it funds to your active bank account and withdraw it, right? So again, as an example, if your family income is only 80,000 rupees, you should build 5 months of salary, 4 lakhs as emergency cash. So I hope you get the point why you need the buffer or miscellaneous component. And the second part of this is buffer and miscellaneous is the first part you should work on. Once you're able to push this to 20%, then you will find that every month, out of 12 months, at least 6 months, you will have positive surprises waiting for you at the end of the month, and use that to push into the emergency cash, build it, and build towards 5 months of salary as emergency cash. When both of these are in place, I'm sure you'll feel safe and sound. You'll be able to sleep well. You'll be able to talk to your boss without any kind of being afraid of him. Those kind of feelings will go out. Okay. And I'd love to hear feedback, especially on this video alone. Mostly I don't do this for any of the other stock market videos, but this may take you a few years, so I may expect feedback only after a year or few years. So you can either comment on the video, or I've just listed my WhatsApp number here. You can just ping me on WhatsApp. I don't actually prefer phone calls much, so just ping me on WhatsApp. So let me know. Thank you. Bye bye.